Hello, welcome back to another DVI tutorial. This is Scott, and today we're going to go through a new software enhancement with the RX entry program where we can now create a PDF document to display a cut problem that then you can use to send over to an account and provide them kind of a roadmap of what's going on with the job and some possible resolution ideas for them to choose to be able to create this job. So typically we would see labs either having to call the office and trying to explain their way through the cut problem, which sometimes can be very difficult without being able to see it. The other thing that we've often seen is a lab that will print out the cut problem on a work ticket and then scribble some notes and then fax it over, send it over in the delivery. So we're trying to get away from that, trying to make things a little more user-friendly and definitely give you the opportunity to have more of a paper trail and be able to resolve these issues a little bit faster. So as we go into the RX entry program, I've got a couple jobs here that I want to kind of display and show you. First one is a cast progressive, which besides a cast progressive, the typical cut problem would occur in maybe a straight top type situation, either a bifocal or a trifocal, something that you don't have a whole lot of movement options. With the digital age of progressives, we see cut problems kind of going away because they are a little more dynamic, where we can move that progressive around the single vision blank to achieve cutout a lot easier. And so the cut problems, have kind of died down a little bit, but this will be a very handy tool to utilize for the ones that you do bump into. So in this case, I have created again a cast progressive, a very narrow PD, a large frame. And one thing that I would definitely recommend is before you do try to communicate a cut problem to your account, be sure that you are either using a database shape that has a great tracing or a great shape attached to it, or you have in fact traced live the patient's frame in the lab. We definitely don't recommend that you start communicating, cut problems necessarily when you have a DVI default shape with the squared corners, because it really doesn't represent what's truly going to happen after you have a good shape attached to that job. So just to kind of jump into this, we're going to F8 to display. It's warning me about my crazy narrow PD with this big eye size. And you can see in this case, this first job, the right eye looks like it achieves cutout with no problem. It's got a little wider PD, so that makes sense. The left eye is the one that's bumping into an issue in this upper temple area. And so I wanted to kind of walk you through what DVI does to achieve cutout as a reminder. So I'm going to click on the DVI best button here. And we're going to look at the work ticket. And the top of the work ticket, top area of the work ticket shows you what it's trying to do with the decentration. Right eye is decentering at 9, left eye is decentering at 11, which is causing, part of the problem with that narrow distance PD. And anything that has an asterisk next to it represents the fact that something is being modified with this value to achieve cutout. So I know that it's the 18 on the left eye seg height, and if I come down to the bottom of the work ticket, it shows me what it had to do to achieve cutout on that left eye. So as we know, it was ordered as 18, and on the bottom of the work ticket, it's showing us that it's going to end up at 19.5 just on the left eye to achieve cutout. And at 19.5, we're barely making the clearance with 2/10 left of clearance on that edge. I would always recommend that maybe bumping this seg height up a little bit further to give yourself a little bit more clearance is a good way to go, just to make sure that you don't actually end up with some funky edging on that upper temple. Maybe you end up with a flat spot or something due to the lens blank. So also, just as a reminder, it is only going to move the left eye up. The right eye is going to stay at 18. So it's not necessarily the best way to do this job. I would recommend, if you're going to move one, you move them both so that everything matches, and then oftentimes they can adjust that seg height with the frame. to get it where it needs to be. So again, it's just a reminder to show you exactly what it's going to do to achieve cutout. And we're going to use this information when we create the PDF, and we're going to put it in our notes as our recommendation of what they can do to make this job cut out. So I'm going to escape out of this view, and I'm going to hit F8 to redisplay the work ticket. And now you'll see that the new version has this option to print the PDF. So if I click on this, it's going to come up. It's only displaying the left eye because the right eye is fine. And we add a whole bunch of pertinent information onto this PDF, the things that we find that would be the most value to the office, as far as the patient name. And you'll notice that we do pay attention to the HIPAA settings in your lab's database. So in this case, I have this set up to only show the first 4 characters of a patient name. And so everything else gets starred out. You have the tray number, the invoice number, the account number, and the RX number. In this case, I have cut problem typed into that field in the RX entry screen. We have the as ordered information that we think is extremely important. We have the seg height of 18, the distance PD, and the near PD. We do have a great display here of the lens blank, as well as the shape of the frame. In this case, we do have drill data in the frame database on this particular shape, which is extremely helpful. It's kind of nice to see. And we can also see that the where the cut problem is on that upper temple. And we also added the frame information. And the reason why we think this is important is one of my recommendations on these jobs is going to be, choosing potentially a smaller frame, but also one of probably the most problem-causing issues with jobs like this is the account just simply typed in the wrong frame information. Maybe they clicked on the one above the one that they actually wanted when they ordered it through the third-party software, and this is what it linked into the lab's frame database. So it's nice to pop this on there so that they can validate and verify that this information of the frame is in fact the frame that they wanted to use. So a couple of tools here that I wanted to walk you through, makes it really handy, is the ability to add some notes. Instead of having to scribble, print this out, scribble some notes on it, and then fax it or scan it back into your system and email it, we can just simply add a sticky note. And I'm just going to pop it over here. You see the box pop up, and I'm going to type in my recommendations on how we can solve this cut problem to the account. And you'll see I am not recommending the 19.5 seg height. I am going to bump it up another 0.5 millimeter to achieve even a better cut, just in case. So I'm asking them to choose a smaller frame or change the seg height to 20. And if I just click somewhere else, then it just sticks on here. When I hover, it has the note on it. The other option to add text is to, in this version of Adobe, to just add a simple text box. And that just stays on the forefront of this PDF. So in this case, I can go ahead and save it. I'm just going to pop it onto my desktop here. And now I have a PDF that I can grab and attach to an email. It has my Post-it note on it. It also has the text that I typed in on it. And I can shoot this over to the ECP and await for their confirmation of what they would like to do to be able to achieve this this cutout and create a good job. So this demonstration on this particular job I wanted to show, just because it is a left eye only, we don't display the right eye because it is good. If I look at my next tray that I have, this is a straight top 28. In this case, it's going to be a cut problem on both lenses. You'll see that I have a pretty standard PD. It's the same both eyes, pretty low seg height. Again, a large frame. I am using a valid shape from my frame database. And again, if I come into the DVI best, it's going about the same route. It's going to move my seg height from 12 to 13.5. I would recommend, this one's even closer to the edge of the lens, so maybe I bump that up a full millimeter or so just to achieve a really good cutout on these straight tops. If I get out of there and redisplay and do my print PDF, since it missed on the right eye, it just automatically will stop on the right eye. It won't even go to the left eye. There's no need in displaying both sides on this because it is an OU issue. It's going to bump into the same cut problem on both sides. It leaves the other side of the PDF open for your notes, but the same information. You'll see seg height, distance PD, near PD, all the job information on the top and the frame information on the bottom. Again, you can add notes to this, save it, and then email it over to your account. So we find that this is going to be pretty, we think this is going to be pretty handy for you to be able to utilize. A lot easier than making that phone call and trying to explain your way through it. Again, most things are going into an electronic type communication, so it's much better for you to be able to do this on your time and be able to send it over electronically and not have to pick up the phone and bother the optician to talk about this. They can simply, check their email when they're ready and take care of these things on their time. So that is all for this tutorial. We appreciate you joining us for these. We hope that you find them very valuable. And if you have any information or any comments or suggestions for us, please feel free to either call the office or email support@thedvi.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Have a great day.